In this meeting, you consent to be live streamed.
This meeting is being live streamed. We are live, I believe, on Facebook. I always forget to check on Facebook before I actually go live. So then you end up seeing me looking at my phone, which is most unprofessional. Hello, Andy King.
Hello, Claire Warner.
Flipping heck are you? I haven't seen you for ages. How are you doing?
Yeah, it has been a long time. Yeah, I'm doing very well, thank you. It's a fairly sunny Tuesday, which is a result.
Seriously?
Yeah, so doing well here. Yeah, I'm very well, thanks. Yourself?
Well, better than it was. Clean hair, first time on one of these calls. Shirt, not massive, great big pajamas. Yeah. Doing a lot better, a lot better than I was. Still can't multitask though. Fundraising group. Oh, we're live, right? That's working. Nice one. So, Andy King, corporate partnerships. Tell everybody, just for the benefit of those people who possibly don't know you in this role, who you are, what you do, please.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Of course. So I'm Andy, and I am one of now 7 partnerships consultants at Remarkable Partnerships. And we really specialize in helping charities and companies build partnerships that help them achieve their missions faster and with greater certainty. So what that kind of looks like is moving the dial on corporate fundraising to actually be corporate partnerships that are genuinely beneficial. And a great way maybe of summarizing that is in corporate fundraising, we talk a lot about how if you ask for money, you get advice, whereas if you ask for advice, you get money. And we do a lot of work with charities to help them work out what advice they actually need from companies, which companies might be able to give them that advice, and then how to go about getting that advice and building partnerships off the back of it. That looks like a whole bunch of different stuff depending on who the charity is. Anything from helping you work out how to speak about yourself to a corporate audience through to hands on the ground doing the partnership delivery work with you.
Fabaroni, amazing. Can't believe we just said Fabaroni on a live call.
There you go.
My children ever watch this. I apologize for being that. Do you know, totally aside, but Eliza called me a boomer this week. I was absolutely mortified. A flipping boomer. Anyway, moving swiftly on. So, very quickly, tell me what you think of Thrive so far, just because, well, that's kind of half of the reason we're here, as well as sharing.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome.
It's been a real pleasure to be part of, in truth. I think the thing that I love the most about it is it seems to be an incredibly supportive community of different people who would otherwise possibly be on their own. And I think one of the things that's come out of the pandemic in particular is a real feeling of isolation. Without being in the office, there's no one to tell you that that mess up wasn't that bad when you CC'd someone you shouldn't have CC'd in. But there's also kind of no one to pat you on the back when something's going really well. And the thing that Thrive seems to be giving the participants that I've spoken to is that confidence that they're not alone, that it's not all on their shoulders, but also a really easy to use toolkit to just make things that little bit easier today, tomorrow, next month, and kind of moving forwards, which has been really lovely to see, I think, throughout the calls that we've had, seeing people just grow in confidence and therefore get more wins as a result, and therefore grow in confidence and therefore get more wins as a result, has just been a really cool thing to see.
It always makes me laugh when somebody goes, I tried that thing you suggested on the last call and it worked. It's like, that's what it's really good. It's that shared excitement, isn't it? Of everybody then gets excited that it worked, not just,
and that's exactly it. It's that shared excitement. You're in a team again, which is really, really nice.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit, if you can, please, about what's happened in the world of corporate partnerships in the last 12 or 18 months.
Yeah, of course. You've got to hope that I can, having been doing it. I think one of the first things that happened kind of universally was panic. Everyone hit a stage of when the pandemic was just this thing that Boris had made a quick announcement about, and it was going to be over in 3 weeks' time. Do you remember that? That was a nice time. Everyone kind of decided. Exactly. Pretty simple. Everyone kind of decided that they were going to refresh their prospect list, look at their support experience, kind of take a step back, breathe and strategize, but leave companies to themselves because the companies needed to do the same. And then the 3 weeks passed, and it turned out it wasn't going to be a 3-week thing. It's kind of maybe forever now. We won't dwell on that. And there was kind of this universal unease about, well, we're in a tough spot. The companies are definitely going to be in a tough spot. Where do we go from here? And there was a real postponement, particularly of Charities of the Year, which I personally think is a great thing because I hate Charity of the Year more than life itself. They have a time, they have a place, but it's not now or ever. Anyway, and that out of that kind of pause came this real rise of shared purpose partnerships. I think the charities that did particularly well were the ones that were able to really neatly offer a survival plan to companies. Companies either went into one or two camps. They were really on their knees and they were struggling. And charities went to them with employee engagement tactics or ways that they could speak to their customers or things that they could do that would distract their team and kind of give them something to rally behind. The number of really cool volunteering products that came out for employees on furlough, for example, was really awesome. And then on the kind of flip side of that was the companies that were doing really, really well. What charities were able to offer was the chance to show that they weren't just profiteering from a crisis. They were doing well, but also giving back to people in the community. The number of, for example, food delivery companies that started new partnerships with food banks at the same time was a really big thing. And all of that kind of crystallized changes that have been slowly happening over, say, the last decade, but it just kind of really, really sped up. It's got to a point now where charities and companies need to be really honest with each other about what they're looking for, but also what they can offer. And companies are realizing they can get benefit from a charity partnership, and they should get benefit from a charity partnership. And what that's actually leading to is longer term partnerships that are more baked in and possibly more equal from a power dynamic too. A couple of examples of that I think have come out in the last 6 months that I think are really worth highlighting. One that I absolutely love and launched a few weeks ago is between Furniture Village and the Sleep Charity. And the reason that I particularly want to highlight those guys is the Sleep Charity are the type of cause that someone who would be working at the Sleep Charity would come on thrive. They're a 250k turnover organization, and there's one person responsible for every fundraising stream. But by working with Lisa, we helped her realize that not only is the Sleep Charity worthy of corporate partnerships, but they're actually a great catch. And taking that confidence to the fact that she knew someone at Furniture Village and was able to offer them a point of difference in what is otherwise quite a crowded bed market to be the go-to people who really care about sleep. And that's why they've partnered with a smaller sleep charity, has not only meant that Furniture Village have committed to giving Sleep Charity 20% of their turnover in a single partnership, which is pretty cool, but they've also been able to launch a brand new service, which is a national sleep helpline. It's the first time that you've ever been able to get free one-to-one, non-judgmental, completely confidential advice on sleep patterns, either for yourself or for your kids. And I know a lot of parents could use that, especially in the pandemic. And what that's done is really give Furniture Village's colleagues a reason to be proud, and their customers a reason to really value that relationship. So I think that's really kind of one to watch and one to emulate. The other would be between Edrington Whiskey and Sumatran Orangutan Society, who are just a really odd pairing, but actually where that comes from is Edrington Whiskey are sold in a lot of duty-free lounges in an airport. And they were conscious that therefore a lot of their customers would be contributing to climate change in a negative way. And that's not necessarily Edrington's fault, they just happened to be in the duty free, but they wanted to be seen to be doing something environmental. What Sumatran Orangutan Society were able to do is offer virtual tours to their tree plantations. They were able to speak to them about ways that they could engage in the permaculture sites with social forestry. And they just really got that what Edrington Whiskey wanted was for their globally conscious staff to have a way to know that Edrington had thought about that and were going to make an active difference. And they just really tackled that. And what Edrington initially approached for a 1-year partnership has already been confirmed to be a 3-year partnership worth 175k. And there's already talk about years 4 and 5 in what is now effectively year 2. So I think those are 2 just really good examples of understanding the coronavirus context a company is in and adapting your partnership to meet that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Love those. Brilliant examples. And so for those people, like many of us are at the moment, who are in the midst of planning and budgeting and pre-planning and rebudgeting for next year, what do you think is going to be on the horizon for corporate partnerships in the next financial year, and what should we be thinking about?
It's a great question, and there's a number of answers, but there's one answer that is coming back from the sector really loudly, which is about employee engagement. We're now in a very different working world to the one that we were in 18 months ago, and going back to normal is just not going to happen. Different companies have radically different views as to whether or not employees should be in the office, and employees have radically different views about whether they want to be there or not. And as far as we can kind of tell, no one is necessarily getting that right for all of their employees. But how much they expect their employees to be back and how they particularly build a sense of work culture is the number one priority for most CEOs across the UK and beyond. How do I replace the positive feelings that my colleagues had for each other that they would get from having a lunch break together or making a cup of tea together in the kitchen in a way that feels genuinely organic? And the answer is, or at least could be, for a huge number of companies, through their charity partnerships. And so having a product or a mechanism that now enables you to gather groups of employees together, whether it's to hear from a beneficiary, whether it's to offer some training, whether it's to do a basic fundraising exercise, how you keep employees engaged in what the charity partnership is a really essential thing to be looking at right now.
Awesome. So lunch with Andy King then is what you're recommending for?
Yeah, more or less. Why not?
Okie dokie. I need to check that I'm watching the right bit of questions because I keep missing them. Again, WhatsApp. If I don't have any corporate partnerships yet, how do I go about finding my first one?
That is a great question. And you're in a really good place to start because you don't have any relationships with any complications tying you down. Not that having previous relationships is ever a bad thing, but it can be really nice to start with a fresh sheet of paper. The first question to ask yourself is, why do you want corporate partnerships? And start from there. And there's kind of 2 answers that come to that question. It's either to raise money or to help us achieve our mission. And often if you really examine the to raise money piece and you ask yourself why you want to raise money, it goes back to achieve our mission. And that is the answer we generally prefer. And therefore think about the kinds of companies who share your mission, who share your problem. So for example, if you are a children's charity, thinking about family brands is really, really going to help you. Identifying 2 or 3 industries that fit that mission, that fit that purpose is going to help. Because if I asked you, Claire, to think of a company, that question is so broad that your mind just goes completely blank.
Yeah.
Whereas if I ask you to think of a family brand,
yeah,
a much smaller question, and therefore it's easier to answer.
Yeah.
And what you want to do is identify those 2 or 3 priority industries and look for companies around the same size as your cause.
Yeah. Yeah.
HSBC are an obvious company that lots of people think of, but they get over 10,000 sponsorship requests a year.
Yeah.
And they say yes to approximately 4. So don't go to HSBC. Instead, think about the companies in those industries that might relate to your organization and where you're at. So if you're a tiny charity, think about a small company. If you're a small charity, think about a medium company. And having identified those industries will make those easier to find.
Awesome. Thank you. Is there anything we shouldn't do? I like this question. Is there anything we shouldn't do with a corporate partner?
Yeah, it's a great question. 2 things, one of which is don't spray and pray.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
No.
And it makes you look bad. I was catching up with the head of the Tesco team a few months ago, and they told me that the number of letters they receive that still say Dear Sainsbury's is one of the things that makes them blacklist charities from working together. Having a list of 10 to 15 companies that you think are a good fit or a realistic prospect that you can give tailored approaches to is a big thing. And the second piece is try and be a little bit less obsessed with money. Totally get that we are identified as corporate fundraisers. You might be a fundraising director or an income generation director. But if you are able to just let that go for like 5 minutes, the money will come. Whereas if you lead with money, it's a real turn off. There's actually a quote from a CSR director in one of our reports at Remarkable Partnerships, where they said that they don't respond to emails from fundraisers because if they see the word fundraising in a job title, they assume that they're a fundraising vampire come to suck the profit out of the company and move to their next victim. Nice. Which is a bit graphic, but an accurate picture. So by taking a partnerships title and approaching it from mutual benefit, an offer rather than an ask, that can really help you. So yeah, don't spray and pray and wait until they bring up the money.
Thank you. 3,000 fundraisers all changing their titles to something that doesn't have the word fundraising in it.
Definitely.
Amazing. Thank you, Andy. Where can people, there's loads of stuff, isn't there, on the Remarkable Partnerships website? Just tell everybody what the website is, because I can't remember it.
Yeah, of course. It's super simple. It's remarkablepartnerships.com.
Awesome. And there's resources on there.
Yeah, we put out a fortnightly blog that is full of top tips. And we also have a newsletter where we advertise events that we're speaking at, any jobs with clients or people that we think are good to work with, and any other reading resources or podcasts that we think are cool.
Amazing. And where can people find you on the internet should they want to?
Great question. Twitter is a good place. I'm on Twitter at Andy King Raising. The managing director is on Twitter at Partnerships HQ, and the whole team are on LinkedIn because, of course, we're corporate partnerships people.
Of course you are. Amazing.
So there you go.
Thank you, Andy. Amazing. Let me just check. Yeah. So, Wayne, the legend Murray. Less obsessed with money is such a good mantra. Excellent stuff, pal. Thank you very much, Wayne. Has anybody else got any questions for Andy? I will ask here as well as in the chat. What are you doing at the moment? What are the themes at the moment? Is Christmas well and truly gone in corporate partnerships world, or is it, where are we?
It's a great question. Customer facing Christmas is gone. Customer facing Christmas happens in July very often. Staff facing Christmas is starting to emerge. Really depends on the company, but I think particularly this year it's been delayed because people have kind of been like looking at the COVID restrictions and then backing off a bit, and looking at the COVID restrictions and backing off a bit. But the kind of key conversations that people are having, the two things that come up a lot is COP26, the big environmental conference that's happening in November. Lots of companies are turning their eye to that, either about the partnerships they already have and what they're going to say, or if they haven't worked that out, desperately scrambling to find them. And the other is really about employee well-being, particularly in a hybrid world, and how they can be better supporting their colleagues. So those are the two conversations that are being had kind of sector-wide at the moment.
Brilliant, nice one. Just more thanks, more love for Andy King. Thanks, Andy. Really useful to hear an update on what's happened since the pandemic began. So that's brilliant. So I can't remember who's next on my little Thrive Live trail. If you haven't yet seen them, the calls with Dr. Claire Routley on legacies, Dana Stigall on trust and foundations. There's another one. I can't remember. I'm really sorry.
You had like a workshop today with Wayne, right?
Yeah, so Wayne so the workshop with Wayne and Zoe, the link for the recording of that will be sent out later. There are other lives for you to go watch in this group, and also I cannot finish this call without saying that if you are interested in Thrive, the Thrive intake is now open. Head to purpose-drivenpeople.co.uk/thrive and you will find the information about this intake. So if you want to spend time with Andy and his 9 other Thrive colleagues, helping you through the next 12 months, you get a call with Andy once a quarter, and get a call with all the coaches once a quarter. Head to, I'll stick the link in the group as well, purpose-drivenpeople.co.uk/thrive. We're in there and we're really, really looking forward to having some more people join in this intake. It is only open until Monday, the 18th of October. That's it. If you don't join now, you will have to wait till the next intake in April next year. So take a look and go find Andy if you haven't already found him on social media. And thank you, Andy, for your time again. I
just want to say to anyone who is considering Thrive and about whether or not they can afford it, I just want to ask you all to do an exercise we do with corporate partnerships a lot, which is to think about where you could be this time next year, where in October, if you were fully supported, you had a group of people cheerleading for you and you had access to experts all over, where your team and where your organization could be in a year's time, and stop asking yourself if you can afford to do it and start asking yourself if you can afford not to. Because that's what the feedback from this cohort has been.
Absolutely. Not even primed to say that. Thank you so much, Andy. Really appreciate it. It is 5 to 5. I am expecting most people to be heading off. When I say home, obviously I mean metaphorically home, from the table to a different table. Thank you very much for joining us, and I will put in the group who is next when I can remember who is next. So thank you very much, Andy. Thank you for your time. Take care, and we will catch up with you soon.
Yes, thanks, Claire. Cheers, guys.
Thank you. Bye.